I kind of alluded to the last time I had done the video about this kid named Ricky Williams, like third grade, 10 years old, and the 76 stations were doing a promotion, giving out, what would they call them, Dodger portraits, all right? And I believe they're, I'm just going to guess, like 8.5 by 11 prints of the Dodger players at the time. And so the collection that I have here would have been the collection that I was trying to get at the time. And so I believe I was like, yeah, this is like, I'm 8 years old. And I mean, my dad would like go to the gas station like once a week, or if that. We had 2 cars, so we rotating the cars. And so my options weren't that abundant to get these things. So, you know, I got them and I was trying to collect them. And like I had mentioned in the prior video, this kid named Ricky, dude, he had them all. And so just like when I thought, I was like, oh man, I got this. And I was nowhere close to having them all. This kid came to school. This is like 3rd, 4th grade maybe. And he shows me this binder with all of the Dodger portraits in there. And they were all sleeved up. And it was beautiful. And that was the first time that I'd ever seen like a collection of something in an organized fashion. You know what I mean? I'd seen baseball cards. I didn't collect them. I didn't have them. But some of my friends did. But, you know, you just seen them and he had boxes of cards. My collection of these Dodger portraits was just like I had them in a peachy folder, but loose in the peachy folder. So this kid came with a 3-ring binder. It was clean. It was organized. And I was like, hey, that's how I want to collect. And fast forward many, many, many years. And I was, okay, so I collect a lot of, that's like if there's like a major in collecting, that's my major in collecting. And because I'm a Dodger fan, I have Dodger things here and there. But I do specifically remember it was the 1982 set that I was trying to collect. And, you know, I like right now, I'm not really collecting a lot at this moment. But I go through spurts where, you know, I'll pick up a lot here and there. And so at the time, I was on eBay looking for stuff. And then I just, out of the blue, because I'm always looking for the Will Clark things to add to the collection, I was like, oh shit, man, maybe I should look for these Dodger portraits. And lo and behold, I found a collection. They were in a 3-ring binder. And all of them were in, the pictures that was being shown as the description, I was like, holy shit, dude, that's literally what dude had. And so I bought it, and you know what? It wasn't like it didn't break the bank. I mean, it was actually very, very affordable. And in the description, it did make mention that it was missing one portrait, and it was the Steve Garvey portrait. Okay, and I'm going to just make a grand assumption that Steve Garvey was his favorite player, and that's why that one was missing. And that's cool, because, I mean, 99% of the thing was there. I bought it. And then I had found the Steve Garvey portrait separate on another listing. And so I picked that up and I added to it. And Now it's in the folder. So, well, here, shit. That's the cover of this bad boy. I mean, the whole Dodgers team is in there. And we will show you some of those, because this was the shit to me when I was a kid. All right, let's see. How do we do this without making a disaster? Well, here goes my... Let's see. Wow, that's a lot of light. Let's see. Maybe just from here, man. Sure, that's better. Tommy Lasorda. That Tommy Lasorda, being an Italian, is my grandmother's favorite Dodger. And funny thing is she calls his ass Tony. Yeah, I'm gonna stand back up. Fuck it. Okay. When I was a kid, I mean, I didn't really have a favorite player like Will Clark is, but I feel like every player on the Dodgers when I was little was just bitching, every single one of them. There it is, Steve Garvey. I don't see why that dude's not in the Hall of Fame. So if you, let me see. I'm going to see. If you're watching, what do you feel about Steve Garvey not being in the Hall of Fame? Because this guy's the National League Iron Man. And he was a badass player. Mr. Clean. Bill Russell. So this was a trip when I was going through this. Steve Yeager, he was a Dodger great. I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully you can. But that one's autographed right there. Pretty bitchin' to me. So I would show you the whole thing, but that'd probably get a little redundant. But I will leave off on this because I do have some other stuff to show. We'll leave it on Steve Howe. Now, Steve Howe, young Dodger, promising player, and he was also, I'm just going to say he was, because I believe he was. Baseball's first player that had ever been suspended multiple times for substance abuse. And that's when baseball just started caring about that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like with Major League Baseball, they don't give a fuck, it seems, until it becomes exposed. And then the owners and the league have to save their faces and pretend like they didn't know this stuff was happening. Let me stop griping. So when baseball started to care about the players being drunk and, all railed out, and Steve Howe was like the first poster boy of that movement. And he went on to play for a couple of different teams, yada, yada, yada. But why I chose to stop on that one is because of a story that I'm going to tell. And I'll tell these stories every so often. So it had to be probably about 1993 or 94. Not quite sure if my daughter was just born yet or not quite born. But I had stopped collecting like the year or two before that because, I was 18. I was smoking cigarettes, drinking booze, and I was just too bitching to collect baseball cards and stuff. Getting laid, is way more fun than ripping a pack of baseball cards open. To this day. But anyways, yeah. So I'm not collecting this and that. My buddies are like, hey man, you wanna head down to Anaheim and see what Yankees autographs we can get? And I'm like, I don't even have any cards, bro, but fuck yeah, I'll go down. Just it was cool to hang out with the boys when I was 19. So we're down there and we're just shooting the shit, and then the players start to arrive. And like I said, I didn't have any cards to sign, so I was just between running over to the street to smoke a cigarette and then back shooting the breeze with my friends. And well, I got to take a piss. And so I talked to the doorman. I'm like, hey, dude, like, I swear to God, I'm not going to hassle nobody. I didn't even bring anything to have signed. I said, but I got to take a leak. He goes, make it quick. So I go in there and I'm standing at the urinal and I'm pissing. And okay, so when I go into the stall, I look dead in front of me as if like it's illegal to fucking peek from side to side. That's just me. I don't know about you guys. I ain't looking around when I'm standing pissing at the urinal. But I mean, you still have peripheral vision. So there. So I kid you not, I'm pissing. And in the corner of my eye, I see a fucking mustache, dude. I see a mustache, and I also see a long neck in the corner of my eye. And I'm like, well, okay. And so I shake it a couple times because I'm done. And then I look, bro, fuck. I don't even know if I wash my fucking hands or not. And I'm making my way toward the sink or toward the door. And guess who's pissing? Maybe 2 stalls over? The hitman, Don Mattingly. So, I mean, then I wasn't feeling so bitchin' and cool anymore. Like, I was feeling like, holy fucking shit, dude, it's the goddamn hitman is right fucking there, dude. And I turned into a fan again. And this was still in the time, the era where there were pay phones. And so making my way down the corridor, I slip into the phone booth that was in there, and I pretend to make a call. And then as soon as the hitman walks by, I pop out like, oh shit, Don Mattingly, what's up, dude? And so he shook my hand, he asked me my name, and then we walked down the corridor, and he goes, oh, you go to the game tonight? I'm nah, I'm just here, my friends are getting autographs. And sure enough, as we're walking out, who comes walking in? Going to probably take a leak. Wade Boggs. This was his first year with the Yankees. And he goes, hey, who's that? And he goes, oh, this is Bill. And then Wade Boggs puts out his big ass paw, and I shook his hand. And dude, trust me, man, if you ever get to meet people that you look up to, it can end one of 2 ways. They can be dicks, or they can be cool. There's only 2 outcomes. And they were cool AF, man. And sure enough, then I walk into the lobby, which I didn't pay attention to at all when I was beelining to the head. And the whole Yankees team is there. Like all of them. Jim Leyritz, big ass, and all these dudes. My friends are looking in the window to me, just fucking hobnobbling for 45 seconds with the New York Yankees. And look, I wasn't asking for anything from them, so I feel like you get a better response when there's nothing at stake. You know what I'm saying? That's my take on it. And so, yeah, I made that happen, blah, blah, blah. Went back outside. My friends are like, yeah, blah, 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 this and that. Then, same thing. I'm just out there smoking cigarettes and then walking back up and talking to my friends. Then, one of the times I was smoking a cigarette, I was sitting down on the curb. And a big-ass dude comes and he sits down right next to me on the curb. And I look over, and it's Steve Howe. And he goes, hey, man, you got an extra one of those? And I gave him a cigarette, and we sat there and talked as he smoked a cigarette. He was asking me how old I was, and now that I remember, I believe it was 1995. Anyways, asked me how old I was, this and that. We talked for as long as the cigarette is long. And then the last thing he said to me was, hey, man, you shouldn't smoke cigarettes. They're bad for you. And then he walked away. And, well, that's my Steve Howe story. And the poor dude rolled his Jeep. I believe it was between California and Arizona, and passed away before he probably should have. And toxicology report said kid was high. So, you know, goddamn, dude. We all got demons, don't we? It's literally what the hat graphic means. It's like, we all got demons, dude. So, but Steve Howe, you know, imagine being a young guy with some bread, like in the big city. It can fuck any one of us up if we don't have the, you know, the support system or whatever it is. All right. Okay, now this item is neither Dodgers nor Will Clark. But this item is it's not even important to me. It's just that I got to talk to this person before in real life. And this person's name is Bob Motley. And Bob Motley was an umpire in the Negro Leagues. Now, Bob Motley has a son. Bob has passed, a few years back. God rest his soul. And Bob had lived a long time and ended up being the last remaining Negro League umpire alive before he passed. And his son Byron is a filmmaker, a musician, podcaster, author, talented person. And him and his old man went together and wrote this book. It was a memoir of Bob about his times in the Negro Leagues. And it's a great book, and I believe it's called A Giant Among Monarchs. Don't quote me on that, but it's a good book. Bob Motley, written by Bob and Byron Motley. And so this is just an article because before he was an umpire, see, last living Negro League umpire to be recognized in Washington. That's Bob. And Bob was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom from Barack Obama. And it was because of his time as a private first class in the Marine Corps. And he got his foot shot during battle. And I mean, it literally took him till, the later 2000s to recognize that. So he's a war hero as well, on top of being a legendary umpire in the Negro Leagues. Like I said, I have an eclectic collection, but just little things like that I have as keepsakes and in my collection. All right. So maybe you can see right back there, that little drawing. This is a print of that drawing. And in 2019, I got to have Will Clark sign that for me in Burlingame, California, at a I believe it's called Lefty's Collectibles or something like that, a baseball card shop still open in Northern California. And that place is pretty bitchin'. It's been a long time since I've been into a baseball card shop, and the one that was in my hometown reopened bigger and better, and I need to get out there and see that. It's called Hall of Fame Sports Collectibles in Monrovia, California. Now, that sound. Is it baby wipes? Huh. No, it's not baby wipes, you freaking moron. It's an unopened pack of, what the hell you call these things? Who cares what it's called? It's unopened. I remember no, I'm just going to come out. They don't have this kind of stuff anymore. I believe I've said it every episode I've made. They do not make this. I remember there'd be end caps at the hobby store, and you just... And, okay, that's the reason I have this. Will Clark, duh. But if you were an Ozzie Smith fan, he's on there. And was it Dwight Evans on the front as well? So, yeah. Okay, you want to see something? I'm going to take this camera off and flip it around. Let's see that. See all that stuff. 89 jersey right there. Let's see. But this is like The Office, which has become the baseball museum. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna do for the day, and I'm hoping things turn out for Will Smith, because I think there's a little bit more going on there than usual. Baseball season's right around the corner. Can't wait for that to get started. And if you tuned in, thank you for watching The Bill Collector. Or I'm Bill, and I'm a collector. And we'll talk to you next time. Have a good one.